Let's freaking go! Kylin Jackson commits to LSU, and I do think this one could be a little bit bigger than you actually think, because the way things shape up for Kylin Jackson's future at LSU is very interesting. So in the background, you're looking at his footage from his junior season, and the one thing you're going to see throughout this video is him making all different types of plays. But first, before we get into a scouting report here, let's actually talk about his recruitment. And to me, this is almost as big for LSU bringing in a good player, but also, that wasn't smooth at all. Basically put, it is huge that this kid did not end up picking Texas A&M. That was one of his finalists along with Oregon and I believe Michigan. I feel really happy, though, that A&M did not get another really good defensive back out of the state of Louisiana. We've seen Jordan Gilbert. We've seen Jacoby Matthews in this last cycle. But now Kylin Jackson does choose to stay at LSU. Now, the first thing here is, yes, give LSU's recruitment a lot of credit, but also give Kylin himself a lot of credit for joining a class that already has two safeties committed in Michael Doherty and Ryan Yates. So obviously Kylin Jackson is someone that is willing to compete, and this guy really can compete. I do think he is really, really, really good. And now I want to share with you an admission about Kylin Jackson. Last week was the first time that I actually sat down and really evaluated him, really watched him, and really began to fall in love with what he could do as a prospect. And I used to think it was a Derek Williams and everybody else in the state of Louisiana when it comes to the safety prospects in this class. But the truth is, Kylin Jackson is a lot closer to Derek Williams than what their recruiting rankings actually show. And that's not me just saying that because the kid ended up picking LSU and Derek Williams is at Texas. I have long sang the praises of Derek Williams before he ever even committed to Texas, and you guys knew how high I was on him. But the truth is, when you actually watch both of them, it's hard to really point out major differences, especially considering that Kylin Jackson, as you see in the background, is going to at the very least give LSU some very valuable special teams reps. Remember, Avery Atkins is no longer at LSU, which means there are no longer automatic touchbacks. You need good kickoff coverage unit men, and Kylin Jackson definitely could fit the mold. Now, you saw that tackle a minute ago on third down. He hits you, right? And that had the running back short. We did a Jamal Adams comparison to a tackle he made versus Texas A&M, which opened up a very big opportunity for Leonard Fournette. If you want to see that, it'll be floating in the top right corner of your screen, our video on Kylin last week. But the truth is, he is really, really, really good. I like the fact that I see sideline-to-sideline action. I like the fact that he does line up very deep and still is able to get downhill really quickly and make plays at the LOS. He's also really good at tracking the football in the air and obviously jarring it loose if it needs to be jarred loose. So for me, I just flat out love him. I really, really do. And I do feel this is a massive pickup. And if he would have chosen Texas A&M, it wouldn't have been absolutely gigantically bad, considering LSU does have a lot of defensive backs already committed. But he very well could be the best of the best. Now, let's get into his potential future at LSU. And it is a little bit spicier than you might think. So, as many of you know, I do like to look at a player and see if he can be somebody that can play his position year one as a true freshman. Now, here's the truth. I don't like handing that evaluation out too often because I don't want to put too much on the shoulders of players. So, for instance, in this last class, I did that with Emory Jones, I did that with Harold Perkins, and I did that with Will Campbell. But everyone else, I was like, okay, they're really, really good, and I could see them being special players in year two. So I don't like to do the year one thing because, number one, there's not a whole lot of true freshmen at LSU that end up being year one guys anyway. So that's just the reality of the situation. But for Kylin Jackson, he does have a legitimate shot of getting a lot of safety reps as a true freshman. The first thing, obviously, is he is a really good player in his own rights. He has played in a lot of big games. This was a 15-0 state championship team at Zachary, and going up against the receivers in Louisiana and the teams that he faces at Zachary, he goes up against really, really good competition. But this is where things get really spicy, okay? Boom! I'm looking at you. Yes, you, okay? So I know you've already subscribed and rang the bell, and I know you've already signed up. Well, I don't know. Most of you haven't. Sign up for our Patreon service where you get to be a part in our Discord chat. We have a bunch of intense and fun debate and chatter in there. Check it out for yourself and our Ricky Collins film study. And once again, Kylin Jackson is one of the many players that ended up going up against Ricky Collins last year, and Kylin's team actually ended up winning that game. So we'll keep the highlights rolling in the background. Kylin may be a big beneficiary of a really thin defensive back group next year, and in particular at safety. So the first thing is safeties are going to become a bigger deal as college football and just football continues to advance. We're becoming a more vertical passing game SEC and just league overall. And in order to stop the vertical passing game, you need really good safety play. And you need depth at the safety position. So if you need more safeties, that means, well, you need more safeties. And Kylin Jackson, of course, is a true safety. All right? I don't see him as a corner. I see him as a pure safety. So that is obviously something going in his favor, because if you need more safeties, I could see potentially more 3 safety looks and very light boxes in the near future of college football. But, your traditional 2 safety formation, you guys know all about that. So, yes, very interesting. But the LSU safety room is going to be wide open next year, okay? I think Jay Ward has a big year and goes pro. Also, we know for sure Joe Fouché will not be back next year, and I think those guys are going to be the 2 starters. But there is a possibility that Major Burns, who has a lot of ability, comes out and becomes a dude this year. And if he does and decides to go pro, he's also going to be gone. And I think most of you would say those 3 players are the 3 best safeties on the team. So what does that leave you with? Well, that leaves you with Derek Davis Jr., a former top 100 defensive back out of the state of Pennsylvania, who came in with a lot of hype. He was also an early enrollee. And Matthew Langlois out of New Roads. I think Matthew can be a very good player, but you haven't really heard a whole lot about either one of those guys potentially playing this year. So it is a question mark how they're going to look when it comes to potential safety reps going into 2023. And then you move down the depth chart. Jordan Tolles is still on the roster. I think they've tried to move him to corner and tried to figure some things out with him. You still do have Jordan Allen potentially. I think the Jaden Thompson Robinson kid, I think I butchered his name, the kid out of Texas who has elite speed, he also played a lot of safety, but I think they're viewing him more as a corner. And, of course, the biggest safety recruit of the past couple of years is Sage Ryan. I think Sage Ryan is better at nickel. And once Greg Brooks is gone after this season, Sage Ryan is going to be the nickel for 2023. So there are no guarantees. I mean, absolutely zero zip zilch nada guarantees that any of those guys are going to be either one of the starting safety positions next year for LSU. So if you're Kylin Jackson, you have got to feel very good about your chances of getting the opportunity to start as a true freshman. And then you get into positions, right? LSU has had success starting true freshman defensive backs in the past. Now, it's not the easiest position to start as a true freshman by any stretch of the imagination. And look, Kylin's a really, really good player, but is he a Stingley? Is he a Grant Delpit type of guy? He's very good. He might not be that level of elite, but he's still really, really good. Nevertheless, he's going to get the chance to prove if he is on that level. And I do think it is within the realm of possibility that he ends up being that good at LSU. I am really, really high on this kid. So you guys know with my evals, I don't like to just overstate things, but this guy's got an opportunity to start year one and no less than year two. And at the very least, he does have a lot, and I mean a lot, of really good special teams rep on his tape. So with all of that said, this was an absolutely wonderful pickup for LSU, whose recruiting class has already comfortably put itself into the top 10, and truth be told, it could go even higher. And hopefully it does go even higher. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Absolutely massive pickup for LSU. Congrats to Brian Kelly getting this train moving. We are one day closer to actual football being discussed. The live stream was so much fun last night. Are you freaking kidding me? Let's go. Give me some energy in the chat. Let's go. It is Power Hour LSU. Boom! Oh, and tonight, I know it's a Monday, but guess what? I know it's not Tuesday, but it's tacos, baby. Let's go. Let's go.